Okay, so let's get started. And this first card is the spiritual issue at hand for you for the month of August. There is no such thing as death. Okay, so there are a couple of messages coming through. I'm going to do the mundane one first. So for some of you, many of you actually, I imagine, you might be going through an ending that you perceive as an ending, like the end of your career, the end of a job, maybe something you were passionate about. Maybe you were writing a book and, maybe everybody just would not publish, so you're putting pause on something, but you don't realize it as a pause. I feel like there are some of you guys that have decided to stop fighting, stop pushing for a certain thing that you really wanted and loved. And you're like, all right, this just isn't working out. I'm just not going to pursue this anymore. Or maybe, funding has run out for, I don't know, a school, a vocational school, right? So you feel like, all right, well, that's it. That's over. And, this could also be a collaboration or a project that you've been wanting to do. It's not really the ending. It's more like a pause. It's just that when we're going through our human existence, we don't know that it's a pause until it picks back up later. So for some of you guys, I feel like the issue for you, the month of August, is to kind of have hope or belief and trust that the way things are ending right now are for your best interests, and that it's at the right time. Sorry about that. Because there is a possibility that this could pick back up in the future when the time is right. Sometime when we have a gift to bring into the world isn't ready for that gift. And it could be that whatever you're working on is being put on pause so that the world can kind of take steps in raising its vibration collectively. And then I feel like there will be a return to whatever it was that you were trying to shine, whatever method you were using to shine your light into the world. And that could be anything, right? We all shine our light in the world in a different way. For others, this could actually be about the loss of a loved one or a pet. And what your higher self is trying to come through and let you know, remind you, because your soul knows this, that just our physical bodies are not the end of our existence. Our souls go back up to the other side with our other loved ones. And anytime you need that individual, anytime you miss that individual, all you really need to do is just think about them and they are right there with you. So maybe you have heard that before, and maybe you're already aware of it, and maybe you know it, or maybe you believe it. But knowing it, right? Maybe it's one of those things that's easier said than done. And it's been very hard for you because you're still going through a grieving process, or, you don't feel the presence of that individual when you're thinking of them or calling for them. And you're starting to doubt that, yes, Uncle so-and-so is by my side when I miss him, that grandmother so-and-so, who I had such a deep connection with, is really here when I need her. So maybe you started to doubt that, but your higher self wants to remind you that there's no need for doubt. There's no room for doubt because it's true. And maybe you don't feel their presence, and maybe, you're not seeing the signs, but that our loved ones in spirit are always back with us, because there is no real thing as death. It's just the end of a cycle. And the best way for you to heal that particular issue, that area for you in the month of August, I am sorry, please forgive me. So this speaks to forgiveness. So for those of you that are resonating with the message where this is about a loved one, I feel like some of those loved ones this isn't about you necessarily forgiving them. Again, this is not a typical reading. This is actually coming through from like yourself. This is about you forgiving yourself. This is about you forgiving yourself that nothing you could have done or said would have changed the circumstances. For you to know that you couldn't have said, I love you any more than you did. You couldn't have encouraged that person to change their ways any more than you did. Or at all. That you are not guilty of anything. The circumstances surrounding that individual or pets, any loved one or any loved individual, the circumstances surrounding their departure from this earth had nothing to do with you. And for you to forgive yourself and release yourself from those bonds that you are like torturing yourself with, because it's keeping your heart very heavy, when in fact the truth is it was between that individual and God, right? And so for those of you that are not dealing with, I'm sorry, I'm holding a chunk of labradorite and I just dropped it. Okay. So for those of you that are dealing with, maybe like it's a project, like a book, and you're just thinking, all right, what else could I have done to keep this moving forward? What am I doing wrong? How come nobody wants to publish? How come none of that matters? It's just maybe not the right time, and to forgive yourself. Just like any human being that is born into this earth, any passion, any project, and any venture that is born into this earth also, we might think that we are in charge of it and that we are responsible for creating it. Ultimately, the master creator, the grand creator, is ultimately still responsible for bringing it into the world. So don't beat yourself up over the lack of, anything, the lack of seeing a tangible outcome to something that you had been trying to bring into this world. And the gift or the outcome that is coming to you, as a soul, I can be in several places at once. Now, this is true on so many levels. So, first person perspective. Your soul is the part, your higher self, there we go. Your higher self is the part of you that is up in heaven on the other side right now, that has been, left behind to man the controls. Who better to get you through this world than you? So if you're already doubting part of this reading, that's the gift for you, is to truly understand that your soul is already two places at once, here on earth and on the other side. For those of you that are interested in, astral projection or like remote viewing, that is also kind of a verification that, more like confirmation that, maybe if that's something that you're interested in, it's possible. It's maybe do some studying, find a mentor. And then for those of you that are dealing with the loss of a loved one, again, I feel like there's just a lot of doubt surrounding that, like that, that loved one is actually with you, and how can they be here with me and comforting my brother on the West Coast at the same time? Clearly, we're not both getting a message from the same person. But yes, time is not as we know it, here on Earth. It's entirely possible for someone on the other side of the world to get a message from a loved one at the exact same time that you're getting it here at home in Europe or US or Australia or whatever. Spirits don't work with the same time constraints as we do. Time zones don't interfere with them. So spirits can be on the other side and here and in Australia at the same time. The opportunity for you or challenge, I feel like this is very much about you are protected every night that you go to sleep. Your higher self is tucking you in at night and standing guard and picking up the other half of your shift. It's taking on night shift, if you will, while you sleep. And you can rest easy that you are protected and your higher self is standing on guard, and that your soul, as you sleep, is safe. This is also just for you to kind of get your head wrapped around that when you're sleeping is when spirits, angels, the divine, our loved ones take the opportunity to be with us, because we're not shuffling around in the world in the hustle and bustle. We are at peace. And that is when it's easiest for them to get messages through to us. And that we can, because we're not running around picking up, kids from soccer practice or standing in line at Starbucks to get a macchiato or running through an airport, we're not so busy that it's actually easier for us to feel their love when we are sleeping. To literally feel their love. Which is why it's saying that you're being a good night kiss. You're given a good night kiss. Okay, and then this last card here is the special guidance for you. Let it out. Tears cleanse the soul. A woman I met with several months ago told me about a study, and I have no idea where it is, but I believe it, but that scientists finally did a study on like happy tears and sad tears and grief tears. And they looked at like the molecules, the DNA, I don't know. But that every single tear had a different makeup. They were not all the same. And that depending on the type of tear it had a different cell structure. You get my point. So, we're so used to being tough in this world, but we don't realize that being tough is actually us putting up our shell and not being tough. Being tough is being vulnerable and allowing ourselves to feel our emotions, because When we grow up from a young age or any age and we're just used to getting beaten up emotionally, especially cancers, you build that shell around yourself and you say, I'm not going to let myself feel those emotions anymore because it's painful. And it's not, I'm not judging what any individual has been through, because I myself am extremely guilty of that. But what I have learned for myself is that that is the easy way out, by saying, I'm not going to feel anything anymore. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to let myself feel those emotions because it's too painful. And it takes more courage to allow yourself to feel those emotions and to allow those tears to come out. Not only is it good for you emotionally, because it's detoxifying and purifying, it's good for you physically because it's like release. It's getting it out of your system, getting that out of your body. It's like if you were to try to hold in, instead of going to the bathroom every day, you try to hold it in for days and months, right? There's a reason that we sweat. There's a reason that we have to use the bathroom. There's a reason that our tears need to come out. And any time that we try to stifle any one of those natural bodily functions, such as crying, you are poisoning yourself through, what's that word? Like sepsis, right? It's a poisoning of your own system. So the guidance for you is to cleanse your system by allowing yourself to cry and getting out that toxification in your body. All right, let's just do a real quick recap, Cancer. So the issue for you to work through this month is to understand that there's no real thing such as death. It's just the ending of one chapter in preparation for the next. And how you can help heal that is by forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for your perceived lack or errors in that you think you did, that you maybe think you didn't spend enough time with someone before they passed, or that you could have done more to keep a certain bill in Congress, like if you're a lobbyist and maybe it didn't get through and you feel like you should have done more or could have done more. This is all about forgiving yourself, that in anything, the death of anything or anyone, there's nothing more you could have done. And that as a soul, your father that's passed on to the other side can still be here with you and is still in heaven. Your higher self is here on earth. Your soul is here with you in this physical earth plane, as well as up in heaven, manning the controls. And there is an opportunity for you to understand and know that the opportunity is for you to feel the love of these individuals as you are sleeping this month, because that is when your defenses are down. And then lastly, the special guidance, let yourself detox your system and cry it out. Watch a sad movie. Think about something that makes you cry. Just let yourself cry. Get yourself to cry. And even if you think you don't have anything to cry about, once you do start crying, even if it's at a movie, and you just allow yourself to continue, you will eventually get to the root of whatever it is that you've been holding in.